Free the land, revolutionary greetings. This is Haki Shakur, New African History Channel, Our Story, back at another historic sacred space and site. Today I'm out here in eastern Henrico, which is considered Verona, right outside of Richmond, Virginia. I'm at a sacred space called Gravel Hill. This is a sacred space that is considered to be a part of the pre-Civil War years. So I'm just giving you an outlook of how sacred and old this sacred space is. Take a look around. This area was once owned by the slave plantation owner by the name of John Pleasance. John Pleasance was a wealthy man that owned all this land out here, which was a part of his plantation, where he owned over 100-something enslaved Africans. But the thing about John Pleasance is that he later on realized that slavery was a dehumanizing system. It was a immoral system. So he decided once on his deathbed that he was going to free his enslaved Africans once, he passed over and transitioned. So he passed over, he transitioned. The plantation was passed down to his son. The duties of his father was passed down to his son, Robert Pleasance. So his son, Robert Pleasance, then went on through with freeing his slaves. But first, before that took place, they had to go through court battles, court trials, because the Commonwealth of Virginia, under this law called the Human Liberty Law, which made these ancestors non-human. It goes all the way back to like the cases of dealing with, our humanity, because they said we were non-humans. You see what I'm saying? So he couldn't pass the land down to these enslaved Africans until it went through a bunch of cases. They would later appeal that. Another famous person that's tied to this case is somebody you may know by the name of John Marshall. He's real famous in the city of Richmond and in the history of Virginia. Robert Pleasance hired him as a lawyer. They took the case to, the Supreme Court of Virginia, the Commonwealth of Virginia, Court of Appeals. They appealed it several times, and later on they would win that, and later on Robert Pleasance would free those enslaved Africans. It was like 78 enslaved Africans that he freed. Along with that came later that came on with that is 350 acres of his plantation land were passed down to these Africans, meaning that those 78 enslaved ancestors would get at least 4 acres apiece of land. It may not have been the 40 acres in a mule. It might not have been the 40 acres at that time of the Civil War that was supposed to have been passed down by General T. Sherman in the Special Field Order 15, but they still received a large amount of acres of land apiece. But the key to that is that those ancestors came together. Yes, they all may have 4 acres apiece and things of that nature, but they came together and built what you see around here, this great community of self-determination. They pooled themselves together. They got together. They cultivated this land. They built on this land. They lived independently on this land is what I really wanted to say. So you're looking at one of the most historic pre-Civil War, symbolisms of self-determination, Black self-determination, New African Ujamaa, collective cooperative economics. You're looking at this great historic community right here. Something else I got to throw in there. You have to also understand that this community has established history before the year of 1801. So Quakers, if you don't know about the Quaker history, Quakers are European individuals who would later, join the abolitionist movement. This is where the abolitionists come from, the Quakers and things of that nature, who were religious groups, religious sects, religious orgs, who came to help our ancestors, free themselves out of enslavement. Later on, this community, when it was founded, it was called Gravely Hill. Do you understand the ironic and coincidence of that statement? Gravely Hill could be, transformed to Gravely Ill. So you gotta look at the significance of the words that some European, and I do believe some Europeans probably gave this that name, trying to be funny and trying to, like dehumanize our ancestors by naming them something that's tied to these words. That could be easily, transformed into gravely ill. And we do know that a lot of our ancestors were gravely ill because of those oppressors. You see what I'm saying? And the way they lived, their lifestyle, the bad food, the culture, and things of that nature. So that's something deep and significant. Also, that was established following the Civil War. I really wanted to say this before I hop off, is that this is also the historic site of a major part of the Civil War, a battle of the Civil War that took place on this land right here, between the Confederates and the United States of America, took place right here on this land. Later on, it will be transformed into a church, which is the church is right there. If you can see the church in the background, which is called Gravel Hill. Gravel Hill is a historic Baptist church of our ancestors. And last but not least is what you see over here is the community center, which was established in 1930, which was also once a public school that was built by the Quakers. Matter of fact, this is one of the most historic Quaker schools that would educate free enslaved Africans after they were freed out of slavery in Virginia history and African Black history. This is one of the most historic Quaker schools. I say that to say this, because this goes into, what I'm always teaching, which is the struggle is about land. The struggle is about land. So to tie it to, like I always do, to modern times, because we have to, our struggle is based on our history. Our history is our future. If we do not know the history of our past, there's no way we can liberate ourselves in our future. So 2020, new regime change. Biden and Harris is coming into office. Donald Trump is done. But the struggle continues. Don't get passive. Don't get relaxed. We have to be more aggressive. We have to be just as aggressive as we was on Donald Trump, on this Biden and this liberal administration and regime that's about to take office. And the key things that we must focus on as new Africans, as a new African nation, and going past 2021 and beyond, is the fact that we must continue to, to struggle and to fight for land. Land is the basis. Reparations is the basis. Our national identity is the basis. Because look at this great community around here. Land is your identity, people. Without no land, you have no identity, period. These great ancestors chose that path. They chose the path of Black liberation. They chose the path of Black self-determination. And they created a community, an identity, a land that they called their own. So I'm going to sign off on that note. Haki, Shakur, man. Free the land by any means necessary.